everyone, and welcome to another edition of the High Point Hello. We've interviewed coaches, we've interviewed pros, and I think it's safe to say we have a mix of both here. We have High Point University women's lacrosse standout Sam Herman with us, and she's also our current assistant coach at the University of Hartford. Sam, thank you so much for joining us. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Kev. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, that intro was good. It's kind of like I practiced it. I want to start with your journey to High Point. There's so much to talk about. You're now in the pro, or you're coaching now shortly after your time at High Point University. But I want to jump into kind of your journey from high school lacrosse to college and why you chose High Point and that whole process with Coach Boswell.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's a cool process in the fact that I was a part of a class that got recruited pretty early. So I verbally committed to High Point when I was a sophomore in high school, which is super early in the process now. People aren't committing until later in junior year or early senior year. And something that was really important to me was finding a school that would fit me both athletically and academically. Obviously, you step on High Point's campus, it sells itself, but Boswell really sold the program in a fact that what she wanted to build is a legacy. So I knew I was walking into a newer program. I knew when I would be a freshman, it was going to be our 6th year as a program. And just the way that she talked about the team and her goals and expectations and what she wanted to meet, I wanted to be a part of it. So that was a big thing that drew me to High Point, as I was like, I want to be a part of a process of making a name for someone. Putting High Point on the map was something that I was grateful to actually get to be a part of once I got to High Point, but it was something that I was really excited and worked hard for in high school to make that happen.
So making that choice as a sophomore to, come to High Point, I'm sure that takes pressure off of your plate a little bit, because you don't have to answer the question, where you're going to college. But does that add significant pressure because you're, committed so early?
I think it can be hit or miss. Obviously, my recruiting class, we had 14 that came in, all recruited pretty early in the process. But for me personally, I had a major. I wanted to be exercise science. So that was easy to move forward on a goal. If you kind of knew where you're at academically, it's like, okay, I check off the box of this has my major. I check off the size of the school that I want. And then I check off, hey, what program do I want to play for? So it was a relief after the process was over, but definitely a little stressful making those decisions when you're a freshman, sophomore in high school, just kind of getting started in high school and thinking about, hey, this is where I'm going to be in college and where I'm going to end up for the next 4 years of my life. I'm super grateful for the opportunity I was given to commit so early, and that Coach Boswell took the time to look at me and be like, hey, I see something in this player and I want to take the time to grow and develop her. And once you kind of make that verbal commitment, it's putting your head down and continuing to work hard. You're not recruited just because of how good you are your sophomore year. You're recruited because of your potential. So if you don't put that work in, you're not going to show up on campus and show what they recruited you for.
I hear you, Coach. I can hear a little coach talk there. I hear you. And let's talk about your class. You brought it up twice. You got recruited so early, and quite a class. You were in there, and you were very talented, and then also that class has some very talented kids in it.
Yeah, I mean, we had a great class with Haley, Emery, all kind of like good names and putting out all the hard work and things like that. But just from a standpoint of our chemistry and obviously coming in with a larger class and knowing each other so early in the process, it kind of helped us. That first day we got on campus, I didn't feel like they were strangers to me. They were already a family and great teammates on and off the field. And it was just cool to know each other and where we came from in high school and then make the impact that we did at High Point.
I want to ask you specific questions about, how you got onto the track that you are now as a coach. But before we do that, I have like two really nerdy lacrosse questions that I have to ask.
Got it.
I love it. So you started out doing the draw when you were here at High Point. You were kind of sharing time with Christina Renner. What did you enjoy the draw? You were really good at it. You're one of our all-time leaders. Was that something you really enjoyed?
It was something in high school that I feel like because of my background as an athlete, I was quick to adapt to change. So I could make a I could see the ball and just go after it. So I feel like in high school I was just kind of thrown into it. But once I got to college, obviously being under Christina Renner, aka Rev, and Coach Boswell, they did take that time to kind of grow me in that position, and it's something that I really enjoyed doing. It was like a little game within the game itself, stepping up to the line and being like, okay, hey, where's the ball going to go this time? Who am I going to place it to? And how are we going to transition off of this? It was something that I took pride in and had a lot of fun doing. So I was grateful to be able to stay in that draw circle for 4 years and also work so closely with our draw unit, starting with Rev and then ending with Ashley, Mare, and Abby. I couldn't have asked for a better unit to kind of go through college with.
And you can call me out if I'm wrong on this, but if like you said, when you were a freshman, you were kind of learning from Renner and Boswell, and then it felt like when you were a senior, you had Ashley Britton taking some draws and other folks. It felt like you were really kind of helping pass the torch. Did you take pride in that?
Yeah, of course I did. I think any milestone that you hit as an athlete and as a player while you're there, it's great in that moment, but you always kind of want that next person to beat it. You always want that person to be better than you. It's about building that legacy and being like, hey, this is the skill set that I was taught, and if I can hand this down to the next player and they surpass me, at least I had a hand in that process. So I do take a lot of pride in it, but it's also just playing for the team, playing for something bigger than you. And so those future High Point Panthers in the draw circle, I hope maybe whatever I did in college, they can watch, learn, and take those tricks and be better than me.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Have you seen any Emma Genovese, any of her stuff?
No, I have not.
She's pretty good. She reminds me of a little Sam Herman. She got a little Sam Herman going. But this next question kind of leads to the rest of the conversation. But on midfield, you were someone who had you could play good defense, but you had ability to score. You really had a nice balance, in my opinion. You might disagree. I thought you were great. But what do you like about midfielder, being a midfielder, and then what do you take from your experience playing midfield? What do you coach? Like, what are some things that you share?
Well, midfield, I honestly think I was really happy I could stay as a midfielder in college. A lot of the times you're recruited as a midfielder out of high school based on your speed, your ability to move up and down the field. But you get to college and you're playing against bigger, faster, stronger players. So can you keep up with them? Can you maintain your endurance? Can you play defense, offense? And can you be an impact in between the 30s? And I love midfield because if you're capable of doing all of that, you can be involved in every play. You can make an impact in every play, and you can kind of use that midfield unit and be the strength of the team. You always have a hand in each play, and that's something that I think is really cool. You can feel the vibe of attack. You can feel the vibe of defense. You hear all of the chatter that happens on both sides, and you can fire up your team on either end. And in terms of taking it to the coaching side of things, I think being on both sides of the ball as a coach, it's easier to see when you're trying to make game plans. It's like, hey, I've personally played against this type of defense, and this is what has worked for me in the past and for my team. And then I try and translate that to my current players. I'm like, hey, this is kind of a formation we can run, or this is how we're going to transition the ball. Having that firsthand experience as a player is something that I definitely tap into as a coach.
This is a question I like to ask people who are players and coaches, and you're giving tremendous answers. Is there anything that you used to do as a player, like maybe a bad habit that you used to be told that, hey, don't do that? And now, is there anything now as a coach that you're telling another player, hey, you really shouldn't do that?
I don't think I had like a super bad habit, but I do.
You didn't have many, so it's kind of a bad question.
I always catch myself kind of using Boswell's phrases, like the next play, like don't think about it, energy up, everything like that. Like I catch myself, I'm like, wow, I just said that. Like Coach Boswell used to say that to me all the time. So in that aspect, I'm like, wow, I used to maybe not like hearing it as a player, and now here I am using it towards my players and being like, hey, this is gonna work. I've seen it be successful. So I think that's something that I catch myself using a lot more than I thought I would.
When you get to the beginning of every season of, there's stuff you have to do, there's stuff you have to get ready to do. And I passed some girls today doing the stick skill test on the wall, getting ready for it. Do you miss that at all?
I don't miss the nerve-wracking part of it. So like the whole label of a test, but I definitely do miss being out there every day with my teammates and being like, hey, we're going to get this together. But that's kind of a big reason why I didn't want to leave lacrosse. I had ambitions of going to PT school, and my senior year, I really sat down and I was like, hey, I am not ready to let go of this sport. And the fact that every day I get to step out on a lacrosse field and coach and sometimes put my cleats on and play against them, it's something that I literally love. The fact that this is my first job out of college and it's a passion of mine, and I don't consider it a job, it's a lifestyle. I get to go out and do what I love each and every day and impact that next generation of players.
And any of your players who are watching this who aren't familiar, Coach was a baller. So take some time, look at some film, help yourself. How has your experience at Hartford been so far? You seem that you love it. You're happy as always, but how has your experience been?
My experience has been amazing. I really can't even speak enough about it. My two bosses, we call Coach Decker and Coach T, they've really taken a lot of time to develop me as a coach. So kind of going from that player mindset to that coach mindset, it took a little bit more work than I thought it would. And they took a chance on me being a fresh out of college grad and having coaching experience with the club level and middle school and elementary school, but not at that collegiate next level. And so the fact that they took that chance on me, and then on top of that, put all the time and energy to kind of train me into being the coach that I am today and continue to be, is really amazing. And I just can't say enough good things about them and the way that they care about our team and on and off the field as well as me. It just makes me want to come to work every day and work that much harder.
When did you decide, not decide, but when did you realize, doing this? I'm sure like you said, you kind of made the jump straight from playing straight to, to coaching at a very high level again. When did you kind of realize, hey, this is working out?
Honestly, it started on my interview process. When I started interviewing and I came to University of Hartford and I sat down with Coach Decker and Coach T, I just felt like I belonged. Like it was kind of like the recruiting process again. You show up and you're like, hey, I kind of see myself in these shoes. And then when I actually got there and I met the team and I had my first practice and I'm explaining my first drill, I was like, okay, like I can do this and I love doing this. And I was like, these are the people I want to do this with. And making a name for the University of Hartford is just something that I take a lot of pride in. And I'm like, this is really cool to be a part of.
Well, you've been outstanding, and I've told this story before, so it's about you. It's not about me, but as people can probably tell, we're friends, and I am very thankful for you because you and Haley Norris and Allie Little taught me the rules of women's lacrosse, and allowed me to become a broadcaster and allowed me to strengthen my relationship with the High Point Athletic Department. So you guys are very special to me, and I'm really excited for I'm proud of what you've been doing.
Well, thanks, Kevin. We're proud of where you're at, too. When I saw you got the job at High Point, I was like, yes, Kevin, that's awesome. So we're doing the same to you. You've been our biggest fan, and we're your biggest fan, right with you.
I appreciate that. And, as many other schools have always thought, but they never wanted to see Sam Herman and the High Point Panthers on their schedule. I'm not sure we want to necessarily see Hartford and Herman on our schedule, but I would love to see you again. So maybe that happens. But it's really good to talk to you.
Good talking with you, Kevin.